synchronize my documents. So you became a magistrate in 2004.
Yes, Chief Justice.
And in 2009, you were made acting head of court
Yes, Chief Justice.
until 2011.
Yes, Chief
Then
Justice.
what happened in 2011?
Because that was not a head of a chief magistrate post, they sent someone to come who was a senior magistrate. At that time, I was an acting senior magistrate as well. So they sent somebody from Johannesburg to come and take office. Also, he was also acting. I'm not too sure why he was sent there, though. Yeah.
Maybe, was it a man or a woman who was sent there?
It was a man.
I have my suspicions. All right, then you decided to chuck it all and go to the bar
Yes.
to practice as an advocate.
I was doing both, actually.
Okay. So you've been a judge for over 3 years now, just over 3 years.
Yes, Chief Justice, like all of us in that division.
How many are you in that division?
8 permanent judges in
8
total.
permanent
yes.
judges.
That is excluding the JP.
And so just explain for the benefit of those who know what you mean by like all of us.
Excuse me?
I'm just saying, please explain for those who may not know the internal dynamics, what you mean when you say like all of us.
Oh no, I mean, remember, Chief Justice, we all kind of started the division. It started to run with us. And I'm sure
it's a new division.
Yes, I'm sure 20 years down the line we'll be ancestors.
All right. So in terms of that court, you are not a junior judge.
That's the benefit of being in the youngest court. I'm actually a third senior after the JP, and then the judge, my brother, and then I'm the third one.
That's a strange situation.
I know.
You know. Okay, so you've been a judge since 2019. I mean, I'm including your acting stints now.
Yes,
you've had a chance to write judgments.
A number of judgments. Yes.
How many judgments would you say you've written?
Over 200.
Over 200. Have any of those judgments been reported?
Just one, but there's also one for the full court where I was sitting with the retired judges. It's also reported.
Okay. I had wanted to ask you, what were your functions as the acting head of office in that 3 years? You were still in the magistracy.
Yeah. It was, amongst others, allocation of work to the magistrates, chairing the case flow, case management committees, and running the entire court. And it was one of the problematic courts, obviously. So I was doing pretty much everything.
And you managed just well?
I managed just well. Even my senior who came, he was very much impressed.
And then you went on to run your own practice.
I did, thank you.
You mentioned that you were an executive member of JOASA for a term.
Yes.
And you were also the secretary. Is it the Secretary General or just Secretary?
It's the Secretary, sorry. It's just that they were calling us Secretary General. I'm sure they were
the SG.
adopting from the politicians.
Yeah.
But I was just a Secretary of the Provincial Advocates for Transformation.
Yes. For another term.
Yes.
Okay. You listed reserve judgments
Yes.
in your questionnaire.
Yes, Chief Justice.
Have those been, that was a while back. What has happened with those reserve judgments?
They've been delivered. Sitting here, I don't have any reserve judgments. I only have partly heads in criminal matters.
Okay. Well, I want to find out from you if you are familiar with the vision of your judge president for that young court of yours. And if you are, if you subscribe to it, and if you subscribe to it, what further contributions you think you can make towards improving the operations of that court?
Just a moment, Chief Justice, if you may allow me, I just want to open my, first of all, yes, I'm familiar with the vision of the Judge President of our division, and because she is sharing that vision with most of us, and we are very supportive of the vision of the Judge President, all of us in the division. And it is obviously our vision as well, but with the appreciation that we don't have two centers of power. It's only her who is a center of power. And if we believe in her vision, which she has shared with us a number of times, we then support that vision. And in my presentation that I sent yesterday, you'll see that I highlighted some of the vision vision points of the JP, amongst others, the judicial establishment, the access to justice is one that I feel strongly about. As you see in my presentation, I dealt with the distances, the appreciation of the province itself, and the institution that is serving under the province, and the spread of the distances in the province, territorial distances. So her vision, amongst others, is that there should be access to justice. If you remember very well, one of the things that she's feeling strongly about is that justice must be taken to the people. At some stage, she even suggested creating park homes in those areas which are closer to the people. I'm making an example in my presentation of Umkhondo, Bidretif communities, which is increasing in number. And if you see the distance from there, for example, to the Middelburg High Court, it's about 248 kilometers. And it is a rural town, even though it has a bigger town than some of the small towns, but it is a rural town, and the communities there are living in poverty and surviving mainly on subsistence farming for their livelihood. So the JP is trying to get the High Court coming closer to those people. If you look at the distance of 248 kilometers, she's trying to say, let us go to those people, and we support that vision. I'm not going to repeat what is found there, but I also want to comment as well on the vision of the judicial establishment. You will find in my presentation that I have explained why we support our Judge President's vision of having more judges in Mpumalanga. You will see that in my presentation I've highlighted that amongst others, especially in the local seat, rather in Mpumalanga we've got 3 district municipalities. And 2 of those district municipalities, they are served by the local seat. And there are 17 local municipalities, 13 of which are served by the local seat. But look at the number of judges. It's only 3 in civil who are serving those. And in my presentation, I also dealt with the fact that Mpumalanga is one of those provinces which are blessed with the kingships. We've got 2 kingships in Mpumalanga. And because most people, they come from those areas or communities, they are based in those communities, she is also of the view that that justice must be taken to those people. So we support those vision by the JP in a nutshell, but the rest of the other support visions is contained in my presentation. And if you have it, I will just wait maybe for the questions as they come to it. I just don't want to be long because it was sent.
We have read it.
Thank you.
Judge Mankge. So I will leave it to the commissioners as we go along to put any questions they may have on aspects they want you to flesh out,
Yes.
explain, yeah. So in sum, only 7 judges service the entire Mpumalanga province.
Yes, Chief Justice, and we believe you are going to do something to support our JP in as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, well, it's a national concern,
Yeah.
Judge Mankge. It's a national concern. All right. Judge President Mpahlele, I'm going to hand the candidate over to you to question, if you have any questions for her.
Thank you, Chief Justice. And thanks for welcoming us here as first-timers. I had a set of about 4 questions for both candidates. But before I move to those questions, I just want to deal with the opening of on the presentation that was handed over to us on the lack of acting experience. Firstly, in relation to paragraph 2,
Yes.
where at the end you're saying, I later raised my hand again on 4 October 2023, when the senior judge was recommended for another senior post. You'll recall, Judge Mankge, that I issued a letter to all permanent judges in the division, inviting them, if they are so interested, on the 1st of August, before I took over on the 22nd of August. And you were one of those who indicated your availability. And then I invited you to a meeting for a discussion. And instead, on the 12th of August, you sent your withdrawal from the list. And indeed, on the 4th of October, you sent me an email. And if I may read the email into the record. In that email, you said you made reference to that my initial email and your email that you withdrew. And you said, this is to report that in light of a senior colleague recommendation in the SCA, and in the event Brian is Judge Mashile, is not available, I will now be available to act on the DJP post whenever this opportunity becomes available. And you know that Judge Mashile has been available. And even as today, he's the acting deputy judge president. And it was on this basis that you were not invited, as per your request. There's a clarity that I wanted to put on record.
Okay. Must I respond?
You can comment, ma'am.
Thank you. JP, remember, you just read only the email where I was saying I'm now available. Remember the first email was that if there is a rotation, and remember I was coming from the premise that even before there was a rotation when there is a post of acting. So I said if there is a rotation, and indeed I was saying if Judge Mashile is not available, but it was because I had spoken to him and he was. Because I follow protocol, there was no way I can accept acting without speaking to my senior sister and then to Judge Mashile, because they are the ones who are senior to me. I had spoken to him and it was clear that he is not going to take a permanent post as a DJP, and he even explained to me that he cannot move to Middleburg. But I was saying in case there is a rotation, which indeed there was a rotation, he was rotated together with my other brother. So that is all that I can say. But indeed, I said if he is not available.
I'm not going to comment on Judge Mashile because the meeting I had with him was different What you're saying is not what he told me.
All right.
Yeah, I knew him to be available. And in this email, there's no indication of any rotation, and there was nothing new that was given to me later. So my understanding of this email is that you are not available as long as Judge Mashile is available. And if I may clarify again, the issue that you raised on paragraph 5,
Yes.
where you mentioned that I want to point out, I quote what you're saying here. I want to point out that the colleagues who acted in the DJP post have not done so at Middelburg local seat, but were always at the main seat. I just want to take you a step back, Judge Mankge, that you'll recall that Judge Kweli, as she then was before her elevation, and Judge Rachivumo, during their acting stint, they sat at Middelburg, and I showed you them to be on the roll in Middelburg. And the only judge who never came to Middelburg was Judge Mashile, due to structural challenges. And over and above that, I'm in Middelburg in every second week. So I'm just amazed by the statement that the DJPs, they were never at any time at Middelburg. They were always at the main seat.
Thank you, Mahlaku. But there is somewhere where I explain, Mahlaku, that one of my brothers came, but it is 25 days. And if I'm wrong, it's going to be just more than 25 days. Including my sister who is gone, she did not sit in Middelburg for long. So that's why I'm saying it then left me in Middelburg to run the division in your absence. Their role might say they were there at some stage, I agree. Those two, as you are saying, the other one did not come. But if you check the days, the number of days, it's the days that are appearing in my presentation, especially for my one brother.
Okay, I was just stating it for the fact that they were not always at the main seat. And every second week I'm in Middelburg. Because I was just shocked to hear for the first time that they were never there whilst I scheduled them work, because there's no way in the presentation that you're saying they were in Middelburg.
I'm sure you can check, Mahlaku, somewhere at paragraph, there's a paragraph where I'm dealing with that my brother was there, my other brother.
May I just get clarity, Judge President Mpatlele? Are you disputing that the candidate was left alone in Middelburg to run the division?
Yes, there was no such arrangement for her to run the division.
Are you disputing that she was
Yes.
left there without you or the acting DJP?
Yes.
Okay, now I follow. And I'm just struggling to
Okay.
I hear about, mention of my sister, my brother, and I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with just saying Judge Mashile or whichever judge you're referring to.
Okay.
Because if you say my sister, I'm not sure, is it another judge? Is it your sister or is it another judge you're working
maybe,
with? I
yeah,
don't
maybe
know.
for clarity, if you can mention names. The sister is referring to Judge Kweli, who's now been elevated to the SCA.
Oh, I see.
And the judge who came is Judge Rachivumo.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mahlaku.
And Mahlaku is the judge president.
Oh, yes, sorry. Sorry, JP, I'm sorry about that. I hear that you are disputing it, and I'm not going to comment on that one, JP.
Okay. Thank you. There was a question on the reserve judgments and the party hate matters. I'll leave it, I'll forego that, but I would want to hear you more on your understanding on the role of the DJP. Or maybe before we move that, on the party hate matters, we have a challenge of backlog on the criminal. and you have a matter as one of those backlogs, how do you intend dealing with it? Because as a leader, there's a general outcry that criminal matters are taking a long time to finalize. And 2 of your matters serve as matters on backlog.
Yeah. Mahlaku, you will appreciate that it's something that you have always said it a number of times, even before when you were still at DJP, that something must be changed in the division. Remember, if I start a criminal matter now, like I've started because I'm in the circuit court, if for some reason that matter is not finishing within a period which is 2 weeks, the one that I'm doing, then my next time to sit in that matter is during recess, because we don't do criminal matters during term. And that is not entirely under my control, no matter how much you can try. You have private attorneys who would say, I'm not available, and the accused will be insisting on having that counsel. The counsel will be saying, I'm not available in April, and then you just have to sit in November. In those 2 criminal matters of mine, I asked them to, and made them to start with matters because I was very uncomfortable about the fact that they were trying to avoid starting the matters. But now I'm left with an egg in the face because the private counsels are not available during the recess periods that I have. So that's how those matters have spread. But what I'm comforted about is that both matters, the accused person in one matter are sentenced prisoners, the other matters, the accused person are on bail. I'm, however, not saying they shouldn't be given a speedy trial, but I'm just saying because of the structure of how the criminal role is being run in the division, that is why those matters are still outstanding. But if we can have a continuous, for an example, we don't do them on the recess, we have a continuous role, that will be of assistance. And that is one thing, if I'm a DJP, I can brush that with you to say, maybe let's try and have a continuous role so that we can avoid delaying matters.
No, that's what we're doing now, isn't it, with the new matters. But thank you, and I have to give it to you on the reserve judgments that you don't have. Maybe on the next question of your understanding on the role of the DJP.
The role of the DJP, as I was saying, Mahlaku, the center is only one, and that is the JP. The role of the DJP is to support the JP, like I have been doing, not only to support in terms of work. Now I'm talking to sisterhood. I support you. I make sure that I encourage you. I make sure that I pour out to you so that you stand strong. The role of the DJP as well is to support the vision of the JP, to make sure that persuade people to buy into that, to believe in that vision, so that it's easy for everyone in the establishment to support the JP. It's one thing that I have been doing, and I want to continue doing that.
Okay. Sorry, Chief Justice. I've heard the candidate twice referring to Mahlaku. Who's she or he?
Oh, I did verify with her if she's referring to the JP.
Her praise name.
Sorry?
It's her praise name, Mahlaku.
It's Dugosaya Kipal.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. We Africans like that.
It's a clan name.
That's why I was saying to the Chief Justice, that because we're Africans like that.
Yeah, maybe my
All right, could continue.
if I may proceed, my last question is, have you identified any challenges in the division?
Yes.
And if so, what would be your suggested resolutions? And have you done anything about it, or is it something for the future?
The challenges are what is outlined in my presentation, but which I can think of right now is the challenges of infrastructure. You remember how strongly you feel about the building, especially in Middleburg, even in the main city. The main city is a big building, new building, but it has a lot of challenges. But in the local city, the main thing is the accommodation. If you check in my presentation, I also highlighted that we have an establishment of 30 admin personnel. And that building is too small, very, very small, to such an extent that even if people are coming for issuing for service, attending to court, it is always a challenge inside the corridors. But I'm aware, Mahlaku or JP, that you are working on that, and I know that you are very anxious about it. That is why I'm going to plead with those who are able to support you, to get a proper building, because it's not only small, but it's very hazardous. Not even a single window is opening there, and the floor is carpeted. Just a spark of match, the entire building will be down into ashes, and maybe with people. And I know that you will invite the Chief Justice to do a walk around and see what we are talking about. Even courtrooms, they are too small. But the other challenges that I have discovered, JP, is, which I think is also frustrating you, is the number of resignation of the admin personnel. Since August 2023, they've resigned in numbers. And maybe one needs to support you and check what seems to be a problem, if there is a problem at all, because that is talent that is being lost. And it makes the consistency of working flow of work to be destabilized. So that is another thing that I want to assist you with, just to investigate what is the problem. Why are people living in numbers? Because it was from August 2023. So it is one of the cause for concern. And I know that you are always of the idea that of collegiality and unity. And that is the parts that I think you also need to be assisted on, the issue of unity, how people are getting to be united so that you can forge together, supporting your vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, JP. Do you have questions for the candidate Premier?
Yeah, thanks, Chief Justice, and greetings to my colleagues and all legal eagles that are present today here. I will continue with the question that you asked about access to justice. I was in Mkondo, and I'm happy that you know Mkondo. People of Mkondo complain about access to justice. I want to know exactly what is it that you're going to do to assist these people.
Yeah. Thank you, Premier. Commissioner Ndlovu. As I was saying, one of the key points of the JP is that there must be park homes, even courts which are not sitting every day there. So one of the things that I'm going to assist JP with, if I'm recommended, is to get that going, because I'm not quite sure how far she is in as far as those park homes and all that in her vision, but I know that she's very anxious about that, and it's something that she wants to see happening. So one of the things that I'm going to assist with is to run with that project, if she allows me, of making sure that even if it's issuing, we take the staff maybe once or twice a week for issuing, so that they don't come to issue in Middleburg. As you see in my presentation, it's about 240 kilometers. There are people, just now I'm doing a matter of people who are coming from Standerton. Prima, if you can see them sitting there during lunchtime, they don't even have something to eat. Sometimes you have to search your own pockets to say, go buy bread for these people, because they are there early, having been brought by police vans, because they can't even afford transport. So I would support, just to conclude, the JP by making that we take debt services to the people, even if it means supporting her to speak with chief magistrate or magistrates to allow us to sit maybe one or twice in a week. I don't mind a premier to fold my arms and go do the groundwork. I can do that on her behalf, because she has a lot on her plate as the JP.
No, thanks. It seems as if I will repeat also another question that she asked, but this time practical, because it seems as if when she asked you that question, it was just, even though it was not a complaint, but I want to repeat that question, that practical, you said that you know the role of DJP and one of the roles is to support a JP. So I want to know practically, what is it that you're going to do to support JP if you are appointed?
Is to make sure that I take, offload some work from her. Whatever work that she's assigning to me, to make sure that, as I said, make people or persuade people to believe in her vision, amongst others, to support and protect the JP's integrity where possible, in the sense that, for an example, if there are even day-to-day complaints and she is busy somewhere else, we make sure that she is protected whilst we deal with those complaints the best way we know how. And thereafter also, or before or after, reports to her. Whatever assignment that she's giving to me is what I will be doing in support of her vision.
I'm going to ask you the last question. You know that Mpumalanga is plagued with a number of gender-based violence cases in the main sexual offenses, which is on the rise. How do you think that we can help, not just to minimize? I know that others are complaining when we say that we don't minimize, but with zero rise. So what is it that we can do to zero rise such cases in order to deter would-be perpetrators?
Yeah. Well, Commissioner Ndlovu, we do our part as the judiciary. We hear matters, hear evidence, and where there is evidence to support conviction, we convict. But as for your part, as politicians, I don't know. I am playing my part on a social level, Premier. I joined hands with the Children's Home, and I specifically deal with young boys, where I think we must teach them at that level what is it to respect a woman, and what is gender-based violence, amongst others, how to avoid finding yourself in that situation. So maybe you can follow from that as well, but I wonder if you will have time for that. But I guess it's something that we can do, because it is indeed a serious issue in Middelburg, but we are doing our part as the judiciary, I promise you.
Chief Justice, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Premier. Any questions for the candidate, Judge President Mlambo?
Good afternoon, Judge Mankge.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, Judge President Mlambo.
You mentioned supporting the JP. Have you ever sat or chaired the PEEC of Mpumalanga?
No, but I'm glad that question comes from you, because I've never chaired it, clearly because I've never acted as a DJP, and that is not out of my own doing.
Yes.
But why I'm glad it's you who's asking that question, because if you check your minutes from 2013, when the PEC was starting, my name is always there. When I was an acting head of office, when the bar also assigned me, because I understand the aim and the principle around that, they assigned me to go and sit in the PEC meeting committees of Gauteng. And if you check your minutes, you'll see how I have contributed in it. Now, look that together with the fact that I have chaired the case flow management meetings, which shares a similar value as the PEC. We've got stakeholders there, we've got action log there, we sit, identify issues, we see what has been achieved. If there is something that has not been achieved, what is the bottleneck? How do we deal with the bottlenecks, and how do we find solution together as a committee?
Yeah. I know you were forever present in the Gauteng PEC, representing the advocates. Now, you mentioned you chair the case flow. Is that the Mpumalanga part now?
No. It is the Gauteng
Still in
one.
Gauteng?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Have you asked, since you have aspirations to lead to co-lead or to deputize and support the JP. Have you asked the JP to say, when the Mpumalanga PEC meets, could I get an opportunity to either sit or be there, chair?
No, I haven't at JP. Even though I'm very eager to support, but I tread careful when I am going to impose myself. I prefer not to do so, but I am willing to do so at any time, but I have never asked, and I did not want to really interfere with the JP's prerogatives.
Yes. When Mpumalanga was still a part of still was under the supervision of Gauteng, there was an MLO circuit that had sat there, criminal circuit, for years until the High Court was shown the red card and it started sitting in Brayton. I hear you about Mkondo. Is that circuit still operative? And the last time I remember, the directive was that the judge who does the criminal circuit should also deal with urgent applications. I don't know if that's still the case, because that could address a bit the Mkondo issue.
Well, let me start with your first part of the question. Yes, that court is still operative. As I'm here now, I'm coming from there. I'm the one who's doing that circuit court this term. And if you are sitting there, you don't do urgent applications. Maybe it's something maybe that can change, but we are not JP.
I see. CJ, can I ask another one, please?
Yes, JP.
I think your main focus, even in your strategic plan, is Mkondo, basically. I don't hear you talk about the former Kwandebele region and what access to justice initiatives can be taken there.
JP Mlambo, our JP, Mahlaku, is very anxious about, for example, Kwamhlanga Court. Just recently in our meetings, she addressed that, but that court is there. I'm not too sure what is the delay. And initially I'd included Kwamhlanga, but I realized that my presentation is going to be long. But those are the people as well who needs justice to be taken to them. But if you look at the fact that there is a court which is there already, if that can be kickstarted, it will alleviate the problem that is there at Kwamhlanga. Indeed, they need justice to be taken to them.
Thank you. A DJP also does allocations to other judges. Yeah. Have you ever done case allocations to other judges?
No, I only did it as a magistrate, as a head of office, but remember I'm sitting as a senior judge in the local seat. The only allocations I do is in terms of who is writing and why, after looking at the strengths and the weaknesses of the people that I work with and discussing with them. That's the only allocation that I do.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, JP. Commissioner Hassan?
Thank you very much, CJ. Judge, I'm over here.
Yes.
There's just two things I'd like to ask. I know you sort of mentioned it actually in answering, I think it was Premier's question. But I'm also interested in some of your community involvement, as it may or may not feed into your judicial expertise.
Commissioner Hassan, for me, leadership is about servanthood. And it's about you first believing in whether you are called to serve. And being called to serve, it takes me to where I am as a judge, but also it takes me to the communities, especially the communities that I am serving. So that is how I get to align the two. And for me, I can't have two separate characters. I only have one character and one choice only, and one understanding and belief of serving. So that's how I align those two. I hope I've answered your question, Commissioner Hassan.
Thank you. I'll just ask my second question. given that, of course, we are looking at the Mpumalanga Division and DJP. I think other commissioners have asked you about the vision, so that's okay. But I'm also interested if there's anything in the vision or your thinking around how we assist with mining matters. And with my other cap on, I also sit in that portfolio committee, and we know that there's quite a number of outstanding litigations. And I know there's some other problems as to why that is in terms of some of the other challenges. But I'm just interested if any of your visionary work or thinking involves the mining issues in the province. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hassan. There is nothing that has been noted on our side as a problematic in the mining issues. Indeed, we are sitting in a mining province and the low-acid mining town and the economic hub. But there are no outstanding or any crisis in as far as we are concerned. But should there be any, I know that that can be addressed as speedily as possible, especially when the JP is very eager about having matters finalized speedily and efficiently.
Commissioner Lekganya?
CJ, good afternoon, CJ. Good afternoon, Judge Mankge.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Lekganya.
And let me start by complimenting you on your achievements, a relatively young African female having achieved thus far. There is a comment here by a professional body, NADEL, that says that you have 4 reserved judgments and you have 2 matters that are partly heard. What will be your comment on those?
Thank you, Commissioner Lekganya. My 3 judgments were reserved and they were finalized within a period of 3 months. I don't have reserved judgment as I'm sitting. I strive to finish all my judgments before the end of term so that I start on a clean term, difficult as it is, but I try. In as far as the partly head matters, these 2 criminal matters, partly head that I've explained when I was being engaged by the JP. One of it is at the stage towards the end of the matter. But as I said, I'm not proud of the fact that I still have those partly head, but it is something that is beyond my control because we only do them during a recess. And even when I'm available, the councils might not be available. But the other matter is also not towards the stage, we're still at the state case, but all the accused are also out on bail. Not that that is to justify the delay, but all of them, the pleas happened in 2023.
And how many accused persons or witnesses are involved?
Yeah, in the second matter, which I say we are still at the state case, is 10 accused, and it's about 45 witnesses. And the other matter, the witnesses have already testified, so we're towards the end. So it's 2 accused. Both of them are sentenced prisoners.
Commissioner Matolo-Lepu?
Thank you, CJ, and good afternoon, Judge Mankge.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Matolo-Lepu.
You know, mine is not actually a question. I'm very much involved in the land historical cases matters. And what we have seen, a lot of labor tenants issues come from Mpumalanga, where they are being evicted and all those. Is there a way that the judiciary there can actually form part of that project? Or somehow, you know, they seem to be lacking of protection and the labor tenants not knowing their rights. Do you think you can play a role there?
I'm not sure about the judiciary collectively, but I know that most judges, including myself, we, at the same time as we sit in court as judges, we also educate in a way. So those tenants, for an example, if they come to court, you kind of also educate them to make them aware of their rights in your judgment, of course, or maybe when you engage with the practitioners so that they can also pick up what is their right and how can they go about dealing with their issues. But as a judicial collectively, I'm not sure, and I'm even wondering if it is the terrain that we would want to partake in as a judiciary. Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Baloyi?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Yes. Judge,
Commissioner Baloyi, sorry. Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi.
that's all right. It's in a way a follow-up really on the discussion that you've just had with Commissioner Matolo-Tlepu. Now, you would have received yesterday in the evening a note from the Commission raising matter that would be discussed with you today. Now, what it is the note, as you would have noted, it's not so much an objection as you would have read it, but it is matters of concern that are raised by evicted litigants, and they say that they would like your response to be, the response to their concerns to be, they say, toughly considered. And what it is, in essence, it is the complaint or the allegation is that you exhibited a lack of concern and empathy for people who had been, for families who had been evicted from property that they occupied, ESCOM property that they occupied. You didn't show a sensitivity to the provisions of the Constitution that the vulnerable require special protection. They speak of disabled people who are part of that community that was affected. And from what is said here, and I would like you to comment on that, in paragraphs 19, 20 of that document, they say you were, pretty much they say you were very dismissive of them. They brought an application. Maybe it was an application without merit, so I'm not discussing the merit of the application. I'm raising with you your manner, your attitude, and how you chose to deal with them, including whether you considered questions of whether they had any roof over their heads, in the light of how you chose to deal with this.
Thank you, Commissioner. I did receive it, yes, I confirmed last night, and I agree with you that it is really not an objection. But Commissioner Baloyi, in as far as my part is concerned, you'll see that it has got nothing to do with the merits of the matter, but it is to do with the matter, the parties having not served the other party with me. The lack of empathy, I know it cannot be applicable to me because that is what I thrive on. I make sure that I show empathy to any person, no matter what level that person is. So it cannot be applicable to me. But what is of importance is that I don't have the file with me because obviously it was late at night. But what I remember very well in that matter is that there was no service on the first day, and I struck the matter off the roll because there was no service. I did not end there. I even told the council that I'm sitting on the urgent roll. Do attend to service. Even though it was they asked for a roadnizer, I said to him, I am not satisfied with what you are making a case, especially consider that you knew of this, my brother's order back then. So you cannot proceed on an ex parte basis, go and serve. That part I remember. And they came back again on paragraph 20 now that you referred me the following day. When they came back the following day, and it is exactly because of the frustration that I could see from the council the previous day, I then asked my secretary to call the council to appear so that I can explain to him that you have still not served the other respondents, but the one that you have served, you served them at 11 and you wanted the matter to proceed at 12:30. So that is how far I'm involved in that matter. And the council, I remember the council kind of threatening me, telling me that it's fine, Judge, you can strike the matter off the roll. I'm going to the Constitutional Court because I was doing the Mdolo matter and all, but the matter ended up not being heard because of them not serving the other respondents. But I was not involved with the merits at all. There was not even a need for me to consider what they were saying in their merits.
It's not so much the merits really that I'm raising with you. It is that they hold the view that in the way that you dealt with the matter, you didn't show any understanding or sympathy for the fact that you're dealing with people who do not have accommodation and were facing eviction, and you were formalistic and technical in, you were concerned about service, and you took the view that anyway nothing will change whether they serve or not, and so you can quickly dispense with the matter without more. I think that is really the heart of the concern that is being raised here.
Yes, Commissioner, that is what I was trying to explain, Commissioner, to say, that's the empathy that I was showing, to say to him, I remember I even said to counsel, even if you come at 1 a.m., I'm here to waiting for you. So that's the empathy that I was showing. And for me, to even say, come, let me explain to you that you haven't served, and the party that you have served, you did not give the party a reasonable time. And Commissioner will remember that if they appear before me, the truth is the parties are the same before me, and I have to look them with that eye to say they are the same. Even though, and the reason why I was showing empathy the most of saying, go and serve so that both of you are ahead. I even referred them to the Audi principle to say the other party also deserved to be here, especially because you knew of the order back then, more than 2 months ago. So they need to be here as well, and I will hear both of you as soon as we are here. In my view, I did show empathy by even trying to explain to them that make sure that the other party is aware of the matter so that I can hear both of you.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Commissioner Mpumalanga?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Commissioner Maimane.
Just one, no, it's two from my side. I think the first one relates to your presentation, bullet point number 26 on your vision, which speaks to the intention on your part to make submissions to the JP to consider engaging the Mpumalanga Bar and Mpumalanga LPC to get practitioners to assist with less involved matters on pro bono basis. I just needed to check as to whether, given that intention, what is the current state of affairs now? Are you suggesting that in terms of stakeholders, this is an area that has been identified as a gap?
Thank you, Commissioner Maimane. Not so as a gap, but I know that the JP likes giving opportunities to practitioners, and it's something that I know that she is going to be persuaded to do. We haven't had any pro bono practitioners appearing pro bono, but as you see there, I'm saying it's going to be a killing two birds with one stone. As much as they are going to be helpful to us so that you concentrate on finalizing matters, we are also going to be helpful to them in giving them exposure, giving them that confidence, and making sure that practitioners, legal practitioners from the province are given that opportunity. In my view, it will also save cost because they will be traveling from their homes, come and assist, also be in a position to be empowered, and also be in a position to make their own minds whether one day would like to join the judiciary. But it's not a gap on its own. We are a new division. I know that JP will be very pleased to hear that view of mine, and also giving her a thumbs up.
Thank you. Just now another last area that I want to traverse with you. The quite an office accommodation in Middelburg. I get a sense that you are insinuating that it is a huge problem. I guess this relates to infrastructural challenges. Of more of concern is the comparative analysis that you make in terms of the judicial establishment, where you draw parallel between the Middleburg as a local seat and the main seat of court. The sense that I get is that if you make a comparison between criminal cases, Middleburg is always having an edge in terms of numbers, but likewise with civil role, you also create an impression that Middleburg has more than Mbombela. So as a judge, though of course you have indicated that there are more senior judges than you, has this matter been canvassed with the judges committee, or judges committee's meeting? Because I believe that is part and parcel of your traditions to meet at some point. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner, it is indeed so that Middleburg is having, even though it's a local city, it's having more work than Mbombela, and everyone is appreciative of that fact. I am not sure what is currently what can be done, but the JP is aware of it, and I also know that she is also anxious about making sure that that is attended to. But if you look at the analysis that I'm making, it tells you why local seat will be more, having more work than the main seat. I have made an example that we have, out of 2 district municipalities in Mpumalanga, out of 3, 2 are served by the local seat. Out of 17 local municipalities, 13 are served by local seat. And we are serving the municipality like Hartsebande, which is taking the chunk of the land in Mpumalanga. So it tells you why local seats have more work. But I know that something can be done, and if we meet minds with the JP and the other judges as we forge forward, I know that something can be done to alleviate that.
I follow up, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, CJ.
Yeah, may I follow up just up? I mean, I read that you have your own vision, that is your plan, which is what you set out. And also these matters that are raised by the Commissioner. But my problem is you will be the Deputy Judge President, which you have to feed into or give support to your JP. Have you discussed these matters with the JP or in the judges' meeting of your division?
Yes, yes. JP is the one actually who discussed these things with us, even though I haven't discussed it on one-on-one. But at some stage, the JP and myself were the only females in the local seat when she was still at DJP. I understand her work ethic, and I know she's open to listening to whatever points you want to bring with her. I know that I'm going to sell this to her, and she will run with it. But it's her vision. It's not even my vision, most of the things. I was just adding on how I can assist her in seeing that vision materializing.
Sorry, Chief Justice, I also want to follow up. You see, Judge Mankge, the document you sent, which outlines your vision, is very helpful because it's telling us what you plan to do. Now, this point about your relationship with the JP, I'm not sure if I understand it correctly. One of your selling points is that since the JP was appointed, you've been the de facto DJP placed in Middleburg. Is that correct? That's what you say in the document.
Yes, it is correct.
Now, it seems that the JP disputes that. Now, I'm very confused why you would claim something that the JP says is not correct. Can you just clarify that? Because we are now supposed to send you for a decade to work together, but you are starting off on a wrong foot, where there is a material disagreement of the facts between the two of you. Can you just clarify what is going on?
Commissioner Ngwaitobi, I am not too sure why it is being disputed, but I can tell you for sure that I'm there every day and for uninterrupted period of a year. And when JP is not there, most of the time there is no ADJP. So I'm there. In fact, I even took it upon myself to approach the admin to say, let us not bother the JP with day-to-day challenges that I can assist her with. She has a lot on her plate. Let her not be disturbed with these things. Unfortunately, some of them, they've resigned and they are gone. But that is what is happening. But as to why she is disputing it today and here, I wouldn't really know, and I will just respect her decision. But sorry, let me just add, but I know that there are no problems, none whatsoever between the two of us, at least from my point of view.
Yes, all right. Well, because, I mean, obviously you don't need to be friends, but it's very worrisome that there is this level of disagreement. It's either you've made a false claim in saying you are the de facto DJP, or maybe your apprehension of what you do is not the same as hers, which would probably be a more neutral way of putting it. But it does appear that your relationship is not as positive as you suggest. Otherwise, the two of you would be singing from the same hymn sheet on this point.
Well, what I can say, I know that on serious issues and on issues which is to do with delivering justice, there I know we have one mind. I'm certain in as far as it is concerned. And as I say, I'm not too sure why it is being disputed today. But I can tell you for an example, if I have to make an example, for an example, if there is a colleague who is unable to attend to work, he's sick, I have called the JP twice, at least. I'm talking about the challenges that I could not address, which I felt that JP needed to know about it wherever she is. And then JP gave me a go-ahead, deal with it. I dealt with it, took urgent matters, dealt with it, do both roles, myself and the colleagues, because I don't want JP to be frustrated when she is not there. The second time, I think the JP was away for a week, even though I learned when I was trying to call her and the DJP was in court. I also ran the entire local seat alone for the entire week, assisting the acting judges, assisting the personnel with all the challenges that they were experiencing for that week. So it's just to conclude on this one, Commissioner Ngwaitobi, you do not have a reason to worry. That's why I'm saying to you, I know the JP's work ethic. I'm not her friend. We are colleagues who are sharing a shared vision. That much I know, she can at least admit to that. And it's something that has been happening for the 3 years that I worked closely with her. So there is going to be no problems, at least from my own point of view. In any event, I'm not a person who would concentrate on problem. I sift things. Those that do not serve our people, I don't regard them. So even if there was a challenge, I'll sift it and concentrate on what we need to do, myself and JP.
Maybe.
I'm just trying to think whether I should follow up on Commissioner Ngwaitobi's line of questioning, because I have the exact same impression that he seems to have of your relation with the JP. I mean, I think it's palpable to anyone who's in this room that there's something not quite right in your relations. But maybe I should let it go.
Yeah.
All right. Any other commissioner or President Mulemela, sorry.
Thank you, CJ. Good afternoon, my sister.
Good
Judge
afternoon,
Mankge.
President Mulemela.
In response to JP Mlambo's question, one of his questions, you said that you used to serve in fact, you used to chair the Case Flow Management Committee in Gauteng. Is that correct?
case law management meetings, yes.
Meetings?
Yes.
Or was it not part of the committee?
Committee, yes.
Yes.
Chairing the committee, yes.
Chairing the committee, yes. And you indicated that in that fashion, you interfaced with the stakeholders, right?
Yes.
Yes.
President.
My question is whether you participate in any committees that have been established in your court.
Yes, President Mulimela, JP asked me to chair, amongst others, the Committee on Sexual Harassment. And also, I also am a deputy chair for the Ethics Committee, where it is led by our senior brother, Mashile. Those are the two, and a library committee, I'm also deputizing my brother, Judge Rashivom. So yes, I participate, and I also participate meaningfully so. But with the sexual harassment committee, we haven't really done much because we're also waiting for the implementation. But I am the chair of that one. I was requested by JP to chair that committee.
Yes, so being a member and a deputy chair in one of these committees puts you in a position where you are able to make inputs directly to the JP, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I happened to have attended the former JP's farewell function, and I think my colleague JP Mlambo was also present. A number of JPs were present. And I was quite impressed when the former JP mentioned that in your court you have virtual meetings every Friday. In fact, I was just, blown away by the frequency of the meetings. And I think he did allude to the fact that at those meetings, challenges are raised and solutions to those challenges are also discussed. Would you say, okay, first of all, let me ask, did you participate in those meetings?
A lot. I participate a lot.
So that made you au fait with the challenges faced by the two courts?
Indeed.
Did you have any hand in terms of any meaningful inputs that you made regarding the solutions or how those challenges could be resolved?
Yes. I'm always solution-based. The reason why I participate meaningfully in the meetings is because, one, I understand that my seniority, and if I am participating meaningfully, I'm not only contributing to us getting solutions, but I'm also empowering the acting judges who are there. So I participate fully in those meetings, President. And yes, thanks.
Thank you very much, Judge Mankge. Thank you, CJ.
And by the way, President, we'll remember that in the function that you have mentioned, I pulled you aside, if you remember, and I'm sure you were worried, thinking I want to come and ask for an acting. But the reason why I pulled you aside, you'll remember that I asked you that please pull our JP by hand, a fellow sister who is starting. I'm not sure whether you remember that.
No, I don't particularly remember that conversation, but I will not deny it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Mankge. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, President.
The virtual platform, colleagues on the virtual platform. Yeah, I forgot them. All right. It appears that there are no more questions for you, Judge Mankge. Thank you for making yourself for this vacancy. You're excused.
Thank you, Lomo.
I'm not alone. I heard you on the two tag Godlo
I'm Zulu Chief Justice. Thank you, Chief Justice, and thank you, Commissioners.
I don't want South Africans to be under a wrong impression.